Hi, I'm Jeff Gattis, Executive Director of Global Marketing for Connected Products at HTC. Most importantly, our HTC Vive virtual reality headset.
So why did HTC decide to get involved in virtual reality?
Well, we see where the market's going. I think, we talked a lot about this being a transformational technology. So, much like we saw with cell phones, where HTC was really a pioneer in the smartphone space, we see the same thing happening with gaming and VR in particular. And so, kind of the relationship, having Valve very close by that had a reference design, had a platform, but really didn't have a manufacturing partner and a distribution strategy, really was a perfect marriage between two companies where we brought a lot of things that they maybe didn't have, and they of course brought an amazing software stack, great community, and everything else. So it's been exciting for us.
Can you talk a little about the Vive and what you feel separates it from other VR that's coming out?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things we point to. First and foremost, just our tracking capability. So there's been a lot of talk in this industry and with past iterations of products about nausea and drop frames and people feeling sick when using it. So our tracking using our laser base stations is we think the best in the business, and just allows us to be very precise, low latency, high frame rates, and so it makes people feel very comfortable and have this sense of presence that we talk about in virtual reality. But probably the biggest differentiator we think is something that is enabled by the tracking that we call room scale, which is that ability not just to have a seated VR experience and look around a room, but actually to be able to walk around a 15 by 15 foot space. And so when you start to incorporate that element, you start to really introduce a lot of interesting scenarios for developers around content where people are really interacting and feeling like they're in the real world while they're in a virtual space.
Speaking of developers, who are some of the game companies you're working with to create content for this?
Yeah, a number of them right now. We haven't really announced anything formally in terms of gaming partners. Our content lineup will be more refined as we move toward the October timeframe. We have announced that we're working with some studio partners, Lionsgate, HBO, a number of others. We're working with Wemo Lab in the gaming space. So there's lots of people working on things, but we'll solidify our content lineup as we get closer to the fall.
What are you guys showing here at Comic-Con?
Right now, we have a truck behind me here we have 3 demo bays on that, and we are demoing the HTC Vive headset. So we've got people lining up. It's appointment only, but first come, first serve. If you show up at 10 in the morning, you can get on the list for an appointment, and you can go through an entire 30-minute demo loop and experience this. And as I've often said, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but the only way you'll really understand what this is all about, what room scale is, and why it's so compelling, you have to get here and see it. So we'll be rolling this truck around the country over the next course of the summer and into the fall. Every weekend we'll be stopping in another city and opening this up for demos.
Can you give us a sample of some of the experiences in that demo?
Yeah, in the demo right now we have, it starts out with something we call the blue, where you're basically underwater and you will see a very large blue whale that swims by. You can interact with fish, so it's really an immersive, almost like scuba diving, but again, while you're standing on a truck. We have something called Job Simulator, which sort of demonstrates some of the capabilities outside of gaming, where you're actually in a kitchen and you follow some instructions and cook a few meals, and then you basically make soup. So you drop in your ingredients, squirt in some sriracha. Very fun, but kind of showing how you can learn how to do things as well in VR. And then, of course, we have something called Tilt Brush, which is a lot of people's favorite. It's basically just a painting app, but it's a 3D painting app where you can use the wireless controllers to go and paint anything, graffiti, anything on a wall, and then you can actually walk around it and explore your painting from all different angles. And then we wrap it up with the Aperture demo, which is obviously from the Portal franchise, interacting with the robot. That's a really cool thing.
What do you see this opening up for video games as more developers do get their hands on this technology?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what is gameplay in a VR environment. I think as an industry, I don't know that we've exactly figured that out. Is it first-person shooters? Is it these rich immersive environments? Is it more exploratory, where you're moving into different rooms and experiencing things you couldn't experience in the real world? I think a lot of that is to be determined. So I know Valve's philosophy, and we share this philosophy, has always been to not be too prescriptive to developers around what they need to create and how they need to do it. Really give them this blank canvas and let them go paint, so to speak.